Hey, it's Barb from Wonderful Works. If you serve in children's ministry, then you know sometimes kids can have a day where they struggle. And sometimes the hardest part about helping is figuring out what is wrong, especially when you're serving with students who have intellectual and developmental disabilities or challenges with communication. Well, today we're going to learn 3 easy questions to ask yourself to help assess the situation. So glad you're here today. Oh, hey there! Looks like you got your choir practice going on. The music sounds great, but it looks like one of your kids is having a hard time. What's going on? Sometimes it can be tough to figure out why a child is having a difficult time. After all, putting feelings into words can be hard for all of us. But for children who have developmental disabilities, it can be even harder and sometimes impossible. So if you see a child who is struggling, how can you figure out what's wrong? Well, there are endless reasons why someone may be feeling distressed, but there are a few common issues that can be a good place to start when assessing the situation. So if you have a student who's upset and you don't know why, start by asking yourself these 3 questions. Number 1, could the child be overwhelmed by his environment? Some children, especially those who are neurodivergent, can be extra sensitive to the sights, sounds, smells, and textures all around them. Things such as loud volume and flashing lights that don't bother most kids may bother them a lot. If this is the case, you may see that the child is covering their ears, pacing around, or acting out in other ways. So the first thing you can do is take a good look around and see if anything in the environment may be overwhelming to someone who is sensitive. If you think this may be the case, there are a few things you can try. First, move the child to a calmer environment, or take them to a quiet corner of the room. Offer a restroom or drink break, or allow them to spend time in the sensory break room if your church has one of these rooms. Now, if you can't move the child out of the environment, then try offering them a weighted item like a weighted stuffed animal or blanket. Weighted items help calm the sensory system and are highly effective. But first, be sure to learn more about how to use them appropriately to keep things safe. Another great thing is to give them a fidget. This can sometimes help them channel their energy into something positive. The second question to remember is, could the child be confused on what to expect? All children benefit from clear expectations, but this is even more important for children who have developmental disabilities. Some children, such as kids on the autism spectrum, have a hard time reading in between the lines and adapting to changes quickly. So if a child is upset, try looking at the class from their perspective. Were all the directions broken down into small steps? Or were some things assumed? Was enough warning given before switching activities, or is a child expected to be ready when the leader is ready? If you think that a child is confused, try these. Go over directions with the child again, but this time break them down step by step. And remember that showing what to do is just as important as telling. So model the preferred behavior or use visual aids. Also allow extra time to transition from one activity to the next. The countdown to 5 can help. A few minutes before you switch activities, you can say something like, "It's almost time to finish coloring. When I count to 5, we're going to go to music. Right now, we're at a 1. And a few moments later say, "Okay, now we're at a 2, and so on. When you get to 5, say something like, "Great job finishing your coloring. Now we're at a 5, and it's time for music." The third question is, could the child need positive choices? It's easy to remember to tell kids what not to do, but sometimes we forget to explain what they should do instead. Some kids really benefit from positive prompting. For example, instead of saying, "Don't run in the hall," try, "Walking looks like quiet feet." This helps a child understand what a positive behavior looks like. And another thing to remember is that everyone likes choices, especially when they're feeling anxious. So by giving someone a choice of 2 positive options, we're helping them to feel more in control of themselves. This often helps reduce anxiety and improves behavior. So if you see a child having a hard time, offer them 2 choices on what they'd like to do next. Then give them praise when they make a choice and be sure to respect their wishes. Understanding why a child is struggling isn't always easy, but remembering these 3 questions is a great place to start when trying to figure out how to help them. But there's one more thing before you go. Always remember that even on the days that are challenging, what you do matters. Children's ministry isn't always easy, but it is always meaningful. Thanks for joining us today. See you next time.